Hi, it's Ashleigh from Sweet Dreams Bake Shop, and welcome back to my channel where I make a lot of cake and cookie decorating tutorials as well as give a lot of baking business tips. So as you guys know, I am moving, which means I'm finally cleaning out a lot of my sprinkles. I know I said in my short that this is sprinkle accumulation from the past year, but looking back, I think a lot of these sprinkles are actually from a couple years ago, but I kept them up there just for the look of it, especially for when I was filming. Today's video is going to be a quick one, but an informative one. If you're like me, you might get blinded by the beauty of sprinkles, especially if you have a store nearby where you could actually see a giant sprinkle wall. But here is where you're probably losing some of your money. Despite what the sprinkle packaging may say, various sprinkles have different expiration dates in my opinion. Eating old sprinkles won't necessarily make you sick, it's more about the unpleasant taste. So let's first start off with things like nuts. Anything that you sprinkle on top of your cakes or your cookies just to give it that extra flair. Nuts go bad actually really quickly, so try and refrigerate them or freeze them. I tend to purchase nut toppings in smaller amounts, and I try to make sure to freeze everything that I'm not using just to extend that shelf life. Things like mini candies that are in different shapes actually do really well and can last you about a year after opening, but I wouldn't go any further than that. And some of these, like my unicorn sprinkles and carrot sprinkles, I think I had some of those when I first started this channel. Quins or flat sprinkles do exceptionally poorly, especially if they have some sort of metallic finish on them. I don't know what it is about them, but they just don't tend to last as long. Even though they're supposed to last for about 6 months, I would say I really only get 2 months or so out of my Quins. So don't buy too many of those at a time. I thought that these chocolates were going to be bad. They're also known as sixlets, but they actually surprisingly hold up very well. I think because of the candy coating, it just does something and it keeps that chocolate nice and fresh too. So those are about a year old and they're still good. Nothing weird with the taste at all. You might be wondering, how do you know when sprinkles have gone bad? Well, for example, going back to the Quins, they smell like old Play-Doh. And although when you put it in your mouth and you chew it, it basically is just sugary with just a hint of that taste. If you actually decorate your desserts with those sprinkles, the smell permeates into the taste and it's just not usable. The reason why I'm laughing there is because I've realized that all of my sprinkle mixes that I failed to use because they're a little bit too niche and they don't really go with a whole lot of things that I do is because there are some Quins mixed in there. And like I said before, it's just such a strong smell that it creates. Things like the little ball sprinkles that are really hard and crunchy do exceptionally well. They do not go bad for at least a year. The softer sprinkles like Jimmy's that are kind of that spaghetti shape, they tend to go bad after about 6 months. But I find in general that I'm able to use those things up just because of the way that I like to bake. Things like the metallic pearls that are really large or they vary in sizes actually do well too. I've never had to throw them out ever. So whenever I purchase them, I really stock up because it's one of those things that isn't going to go bad. If you're buying your sprinkles from bulk bins, there's really no way to preserve that shelf life, but I buy a lot of my sprinkles in these bottles, and because that seal is still on there, even though the due date might be past its time, it's still okay once I open it up. I'm really going to have to control myself now and not purchase any more toppings or any more sprinkles until we move, because nothing is worse than having to move a bunch of stuff that you just purchased. Now, we're very lucky where we get to just kind of move our things slowly and will officially be moved out in July. So the baking stuff is probably going to come last. I'll put most of these jars back on, but there are a whole bunch that just need to be washed, and I'm going to pack them away. I've said this before and I'll say it again, I have some glass jars for my sprinkles, but honestly, the plastic ones do much better. Not only is it better for when I accidentally drop them, but it's also better for when I'm transferring a little bit more delicate or larger sprinkles into the jar, because I find the bouncing around in the glass ones can sometimes chip those sprinkles. So I really like the way that the plastic ones work. Whenever I'm washing them, I really make sure to use super hot water, and I never place them upside down when drying, because I find it doesn't fully dry, and then if you put your sprinkles in even after 24 hours, it just doesn't get dry enough, and there can sometimes be moisture trapped in there. This will especially mess with things like sanding sugars, which are a little bit finer, which, by the way, sanding sugars and all those other types of sugars also have a really, really great shelf life. So if you want to stock up on those, go right ahead because they aren't going to get that weird smell. I hope you guys found that useful. I know I feel much better now that everything is far more organized and am one step closer to getting things packed. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you can be part of this sweetie fam. Right now, I'm uploading weekly, so make sure you hit that notification bell so you know when I upload. Also, be sure to comment, request, or ask a question. I love hearing from you guys. And if you want more baking content, be sure to check out the Bake Down podcast, where we just recently uploaded our latest episode. Bye!